Next, I want to take a look at the drawing tools in the program. Now, all the tools are going to be drawing vector shapes for us, so let's pick out a simple one to start with. I'm just going to choose the rectangle tool. Now, for each one of the tools, the options for the tool are going to appear down here at the bottom of the tool palette. And to get started, I want to make sure that we have one option turned off, and that's this one right at the end, Object Drawing. So make sure that's turned off, and let's take our rectangle tool, and we'll just draw a small rectangle shape. Now, let me zoom up on that a little bit. I'll just use my Control plus or Command plus, and I'll use my hand tool to bring that into the center of the screen. And you can see that we got a rectangle with a black outline and a green fill. Those are the colors that are indicated also in our tool palette for the pencil icon, which is our stroke color, and the paint bucket icon, which is our fill color. Now let's take a quick look at what we've just drawn. I'm going to go back to my normal selection tool, and I'm just going to click on the green square. Now if you look closely, you'll see cross-hatching, kind of a dotted look to the green square. If you're seeing a blue outline, then you've got the object mode setting wrong, and you'll have to go back to the options and fix that. But you'll notice that I haven't selected the strokes, and that's because each one of these objects is separate from one another. If I click on the stroke, the green square gets deselected, and a piece of the stroke gets selected. As you can see, selection can be a little bit of a challenge if you're not paying attention. So let's go over some nice keyboard shortcuts that we can use to select multiple items. First of all, I can use the Shift key. If I hold down the Shift key and select another object, you can see that it just gets added to the selection. If you're trying to select strokes, you can just double-click on a stroke, and it will automatically go and find all the connected stroke pieces and select them all at once. So let's try that. There you can see that I got all of the sides of the square with one double-click. Now the second thing to make sure of is if you're selecting the fill and you want the strokes also, make sure you've got all the pieces. If you just grab the fill, I'll single-click it there in the middle, and I go and move it, you can see that I left the strokes behind. So let's go back up to Edit, I'll choose Undo, and let's try something else. We saw that double-click on strokes selects all connected strokes. If you've got a fill with a stroke around it, you can double-click the fill, and the strokes will come with it. Now if I move my object, I've got all the pieces moving with it. Now we can also see that once we have something selected, the properties for it show up in the Properties panel. I can see the fill and the stroke colors here, and if I've got my object selected, any changes I make will be reflected in the object on the stage. So let's just try out a different color for our fill. I'm just going to try out kind of an orange color here, and I'll go over to my stroke, and let's set that to a nice deep blue. You can see the changes to my object on the stage, and you can also see my default colors have changed, and that indicates that any drawing that I make from this point on will start with those two colors instead of the original colors I selected. We can also make some changes to the stroke here, namely the thickness of the stroke. If I pull this slider out a little bit, you can see that the number increases on the side, indicating the pixel thickness of the stroke, and of course my stroke does get thicker on the screen. In addition to that, we can change the value in the stroke indicator here. I'll just type in 4 pixels. We'll hit enter, and then you can see my stroke gets a lot thinner. We also have some really nice styles that we can choose from. We currently have a solid style selected, but if I pull down the menu, we can choose a dotted line or a ragged line, all kinds of different things to enhance my strokes. For right now, I'm just going to set that back to solid.